Ready to runs are for noobs. You're not elite unless you build a kit. Well, that's some people's opinion. Me and the team here at Friend of RC, we've got a little different opinion. So if you've watched our videos before, you know that we try to provide you with our opinion based on what we know. And again, it's just another opinion. So take it just as that, but know that we've traveled a long, expensive RC road along with you guys, and we've learned a few things along the way. So if you don't know what I'm talking about between kits and ready to runs, there's also kind of a middle of the road with a rolling chassis. It's basically, if you buy a RC and everything's already built, it's ready to run. It has a motor, it has your receiver, it comes with a battery, although I don't think coming with a battery necessarily qualifies as ready to run. If you buy a kit, it comes in pieces, all of the pieces from the factory. Oftentimes, people have very strong opinions one way or the other. Do they like kits? Do they buy ready to runs? We think it's actually a pretty easy decision. There's a couple of things you need to keep in mind when making an RC purchase. We've been there. We know that for example, when I bought my first kit, when I bought my first RC, it was a /4x4. That shows you how new I am to the game. But I pained over the decision for weeks. Should I get the Slash ready to run? Should I get the two-wheel drive? Should I get the four-wheel drive? Should I get the Ultimate? Should I get the Platinum? And it was really a tough decision for me. So that's what inspired today's episode of Friend of RC. I think there's a couple of clear lines where you need to look at buying a kit versus whether you're looking to buy a ready to run. The first thing you need to keep in mind, or that should help, is what do you like? Do you like just racing RCs and doing sick jumps and bombing around with your friends or in your backyard? Or do you like tinkering with it a little bit, tweaking things, working on them? Are you interested by how shocks work? Do you want to see how they work by building them? If that describes you, if you're interested in how the inner workings work of an RC, you really should look at kits. Not all RCs come in kits, so maybe it's not always an option. If you just want to take it out of the box, charge up a LiPo, or whatever comes with it, and race around, don't mess with a kit. You're going to get very frustrated with it, and trust me, I know. The first kit I bought was a B4.1 buggy, which is right here. It sat on my shelf for maybe 3 months because I bought it, I opened it up, I looked at the instruction manual, and I was like, holy crap, this is too complicated for me. And all I wanted to do is go race. So what did I do? I ran out and bought an RTR, and this thing sat there until Alan, who you see in some of our videos, was kind enough just to build it up for me one weekend. That's one thing that's kind of commonly misunderstood. I don't think building a kit is that complicated. It really isn't. If a 10-year-old kid can build it, a 40-year-old man can build it, or a girl, or whatever. I want to include everybody. Me, it was more of a patience thing. It's not that hard to locate a part and put it in another part and put a dollop of glue. Yeah, I said dollop. But it's not that complex. It's time consuming, but you've got to enjoy the journey. That, I think, is, in a lot of ways, what can turn people off to RC. If they get into a kit and they just hate the build and they hate fixing things, they don't like dealing with it, you're not going to like a kit. But if you like to work on your own car, or you get into how, tunability and getting it set up exactly how you want it, that's another reason you might want to go with a kit. The third thing you can look at is budget. When you go with a kit, it's really easy to think, oh, sweet, I can buy a buggy for 200 bucks. What you don't remember, or what you don't factor in sometimes, is you've got to buy a servo, you've got to buy a motor, you've got to buy an ESC, you've got to buy a receiver. This stuff adds up quick. So a $200 kit, generally, if you're hooking it up with newer stuff, that's going to cost you at least 600 bucks by the time you're ready to go. Now, if you have a remote and you have a receiver, maybe you have a spare motor, That's different. But remember, ready to runs, you don't need to spend any more money. Sure, it's $200 more than the buggy kit, but you're done. You don't have to spend any more money if you don't want to. A kit isn't going to run until you spend more money. Another thing to keep in mind is, and I hope it doesn't seem like I'm trashing kits, because I think one thing I really like about kits, personally, is the value. For example, what Team Associated does with their factory team kits, it's awesome. You get, aluminum parts, you get all the upgraded this and that, stuff that you probably would do anyway, especially if you're into RC, and you get it at a much discounted rate. If you were to go out and buy them all separately, it'd be much more expensive. The company I think that really got it right first was Traxxas. When they came out with the four-wheel drive Slash, they had the Platinum Edition, which I believe, which was only maybe $80 more up front. And you've got all the upgrades. You've got probably at least $200 in upgrades for that extra $100. You got, if I remember right, I think it came with the center diff, and it has all sorts of upgraded parts. And I remember buying my Slash. I bought it ready to run because I knew I was new to the hobby, and I didn't want to sully it up with having to get frustrated with the build. Well, first night at the track, bought a center diff. Second night at the track, bought the big bore shocks. Okay, well that's $150 right there. I should have bought the kit. But I didn't know I wanted those parts until I had them ready to run. And I didn't know that I liked RC as much as I did until I got on the track and did it. So to me, it was still a win. I didn't mind paying the little extra money because I knew it was going to a good place, something I really enjoyed. I would have hated to buy the kit and get frustrated with it or decide I didn't like RC. So you could take that for what it is, but honestly, with a kit, if I'm buying a kit, I'm going to look for some sort of factory team. But don't be fooled by it at the same time. For example, the B44, I don't think, they're out now with the B44.1. I bought the B44 factory team, and I think when they went to the .1 factory team, the value greatly decreased in the extra parts that you got. So you need to go out there and do a little research and see, ask yourself, hey, what parts do I want to buy? And do I think I want to upgrade some things right away? Because odds are, if the answer is yes to that, you're going to want to look at a kit. The other thing is, how much time do you have? If you're like me, I may have a lot of RCs. You guys see our videos, either here on Friend of RC or over on RC Nightmare, which if you're not already subscribed to, you should check that out too. But I only get maybe half a day each week. I work a full-time job, and I've got a wife and a dog who I love to spend time with. Yes, I mean I do, but let's just make it nice and clear. I love them, but I don't want to. When I have a few spare hours to do RC, I just want to turn it on and go. So, with a kid, there are some frustrations there. If you've just got a little bit of time and your kit's not built yet, that can be a nightmare. The other thing to keep in mind is frustration levels. Honestly, I get comments, tons of emails and messages every day over on RC Nightmare about, I bought this, for example, the Spartan that you might see back there. I'm getting killed on there from people that hate the thing, saying it's complete junk, it never worked. Well, I haven't had a single problem with it. That said, ready to runs shouldn't be considered completely worry-free. There have been plenty of times, even with Traxxas stuff, that I pulled it out of the box and the receiver wasn't bound or there was a broken part. But for the most part, it's been pretty good. With a kit, every single kit I've ever built has been missing pieces. So what happens is you get all jacked up to do your kit build, you open up A bag, C bag, and then hopefully you get to D bag without any mistakes or any missing parts, but you'll find things like mismanufactured parts, things that, for example, pieces that don't have the screw hole all the way drilled out. Or you'll be missing, just flat out missing stuff. You're not going to run into that typically with a ready to run. So if you buy your stuff online, or maybe you don't have a local hobby shop, this is important to remember too. If you don't have a local hobby shop for part support, a simple 10-cent piece for a kit, you might be waiting a week for, or 2 weeks, or even 3 weeks. So you want to look around for part support, especially if you're building a kit. And again, going back to the budget, build it in your head first. See how much it's going to cost, because I can tell you I've got into some kits and it's been pretty terrible. The price of the kit has gotten way out of control and spent more than I ever wanted to. So to sum it all up, bring it home and keep it short. If you're trying out something new, something you've never raced before, maybe you've never had a short course truck, maybe you've never had a drifter, maybe you've never had a buggy, I think you should check out a Ready to Run first. See if you even like how it drives, see if you like the class, buy something a little more affordable. If you get into it and you really want to have a nice rig, then look at the kits. And hopefully some of the stuff I talked about in this episode will help you make your decision. And if you have any questions, maybe you're looking at, oh, should I get the kit for the buggy or should I Ready to Run? Post it up down below, because we've talked to a lot of people, lots and lots of people. We own many, many kits, many Ready to Runs. So hopefully we can share something with you and help you make that decision a little bit easier. And I hope that you like this episode, and I hope that if you're faced with this decision in the future, you can either glean something from our episode or share it with someone else who you know might need some help too. And if you have any questions, post them down below. And if you like what we're doing, you can thank us by subscribing to our channel and giving us the old thumbs up. Thanks, and have a great day.